Why almost every question in this community is about sex. Because we live in a society that demonizes and shames the concept of sex while teaching nothing about it to enforce ignorance, and then expects people to pretend something deeply pleasurable and integral to our being isn't interesting. After Canada legalized cannabis and you saw ads targeting Instagram soccer moms, getting high was no longer rebellious and cool. It was just a casual pastime like watching a movie or hanging in the park. If we taught people about sex and didn't treat it as taboo, Ask Credit would be questions about Excel formulas. I have a theory on why. Okay, so my theory is because it's anonymous, so I think it's well moderated. Thank goodness people feel more free to discuss sexual things that they might feel to do with 3G friends colleagues. That is why I think almost every question in this community is about sex. And I do find some of them very informative and or entertaining, some are educational, some are downright hilarious. But it is also nice when there's a wider variety of questions asked on here than just that. Probably either. Because sex is often treated as taboo, instead of a normal part of being human. So everyone is on different levels of knowledge when it comes to something we should be on the same level on. Because public education often doesn't do a good enough job of teaching people about sex objectively, and even less about the finer details of it. Or, because the op wants an attention grabber of a subject sex sells and knows that it'll get people to interact and engage with the post. I'm so tired of hearing this complaint. It's simply not the case. Go ahead and actually look at this sub. Most of the time it's less than 1 in 10 threads that are NSFW. NSFW questions are popular because humans like sex, so those threads tend to show up in your feed first. If you don't like it, you could always leave the sub, or I believe there's an option to never show you anything marked NSFW. Because everyone loves sex and because so many people are poorly educated when it comes to sex. In the US it's unfortunate that sexuality is shunned and violence is acceptable. This country would be better off educating sex as if it's not taboo. Nudity is taboo and it makes no sense. Add everything I wrote, just a summary, and that is why sex is such the most posted topic. 1. Sex is taboo and thus usually not discussed in real life. Also, there are a lot of weird cultural ideas attached to the topic, so even when it is discussed, it's often not in a genuine manner. So it seems logical for people to turn to a place where they can anonymously ask a wide audience about their opinions and or personal experiences. 2. People be horny because we live in a world that is sexually repressed. Sexual education is a joke when it is actually made available, and when it's not, it's usually due to religious reasons which only tend to teach abstinence, so there is no need to sexually educate in their mind. It's too taboo until you get online where nudity, sex, porn are just a click away. When there is a means to anonymity, anyone talks. None would have any gall to speak like this to each other in real life to anyone. Hypocrites and masking narcissists. That's why sex-obsessed people pretend they aren't in real life. And they have fucked up attitudes and reactions to talk and expression of sex shown towards them in real life. 1. Sex is upvote and upvotes show on your feed. 2. More upvotes lead to more sex questions to get upvotes. 3. It's what people are interested in and don't have answers. If I want to know the gravity on the moon, then ask Google. But if I want to know if anyone can tell me what it's like to have a hamster up their butt, I would ask Reddit. Actually, it is not really true. I checked top posts last month and almost all of them are not sex related. In top posts today, about 35 are sex related. Maybe you see a lot of sex related posts because Reddit algorithms give a lot of them to you. This may happen because you give a lot of attention to such posts. It's a cycle of algorithm. The sex question gets asked, gets popular. More sex questions just flipping the genders or keyword around. Sex questions get popular, algorithm displays lots of them. People get bored, which is the current phase. And soon you'll see very few of them for a while. What do you mean? There's plenty of other questions. Like, how are you? What would you do with $1 million? What do you think of insert controversial public figure? So many unique, original posts by Redditors that are human, like you and me, and definitely not bots. It's something that people are constantly thinking about but feel awkward discussing with people they know. The anonymity of Reddit allows people to share opinions, ask questions about a somewhat taboo topic without the embarrassment of a face-to-face conversation. George Michael said it best. Sex is something that we should do. Sex is something for me and you. Sex is natural, sex is good. Not everybody does it. But everybody should. Sex is natural, sex is fun. Sex is best when it's one-on-one. Survivor bias. The questions about sex reliably get interactions, so you see those on your feed. There are plenty of questions that don't have to do with sex but also don't get engagement, so they never end up on your radar. Well, you see, sex is very popular, a lot of people really love it, it's fun to talk about, it's fun to watch, it's fun to do in groups of 2 or more, all around it can be a great time, hell even by yourself it's a lot of fun. People like sex. But also, why is almost every question in this community about sex? How the fuck do you not know how to make a question? Learn the difference between a search engine and humans beings, damn. Honestly, I was on the verge of asking this question as well. It's so bloody annoying to see that almost every r/ass Reddit post on my timeline is about sex, one way or another. It's getting way out of hand. Woman facepalming. Loaded question. Lots of questions are in here that don't involve it, however you're probably sorting by hot instead of by new. Open up the actual subreddit and look and you'll see a lot of different questions. Likely because proper sex education is rare these days, so people turn to the anonymity of the internet to ask their questions, since it's likely they're in an unsafe environment to do so at home. Who else would people talk about this? They virgin friends that never even kisses? Dads? Moms? Sometimes, speak with a bunch of experienced strangers are the best thing to do, because not many people know all that much about it, and this is one of the few places you can get some sort of consensus in a short amount of time. Books on the subject are shit. I'd like to learn about sex, since the US education system mostly failed in teaching me about sex. That said, I do know I shouldn't just take things for granted from the internet. Questions about sex are difficult in person. Ask your mom or dad about doing anal? Or ask anonymously about it online? Which is easier? And which one gives you more opinions? 1. Sex is something that the grand majority of humans experience. 2. Because of religion, it is one of the least educated about. So people try to find answers themselves. I was in a few sects once, sure we had somewhat different heretical religious beliefs from the larger group to which we belonged, but it was a good time. Good people. Everyone's just horny and able to say what they want and be as adventurous on here with no judgment, anonymously, with like-minded people that want to have fun. Because people are horny and most of the Reddit user base is socially inept, making them unable to get sex from another human without having to pay for it. The topic is treated as super taboo, so when people want to know people's thoughts, etc., they don't feel comfortable discussing it with people in real life. It's not. There are tons of posts about all sorts of stuff, but clearly you're hung up on sex so much that those are the only ones you are focusing on. Because women nowadays learned how to capitalize sex and attention, and most of us, we are either broke or socially awkward, and we need to have an escape. Sex ed in the US is atrocious, with some of it being summed up as "you will go to hell if you have sex and oral can cause pregnancy and don't do it." Because although it is cool to know why your old job sucked, it is way cooler to know what is the strangest hole you have ever inserted your penis in. People are horny. And since the dating scene for younger people is so effed up right now, their only outlet is to talk about sex on the internet. A lot of people think happiness in their lives is caused by sex, when it's actually just a correlation. Come on guys, we learned this in like junior high. 2 things tie every person on this earth together, regardless of sex, race, religion, or other creed. We all want to eat. We all want to fuck. It's art, which unfortunately eludes us. So we seek better understanding of it from our betters in hope of gaining enlightenment in such rare art. Well my friend, Reddit is full of touch-starved horny people, so 80% of the content you see on here will be sexual in one way or the other. The problem of having sex is not sex, but when the problem starts having sex with sex becomes problem for sex due to some sexy reasons. I think the worst thing is that some question seems more of an excuse to read some answers that tell exactly what the ops needs to get off, because people are absolute degenerates and use a weird call-and-response coping mechanism to convince each other that they're not sick. Living animals on planet Earth with only one prime directive: reproduce. Read this book. It's like Family Feud. We asked 100 married men, Steve, are you getting the same 100 men together once a week to ask them things? Sex sells. Lots of folks trying to get those sweet up votes. Well, folks in the sense that a lot of them are probably also bots. Sort by new to see the actual questions. What's more interesting to ask is, why do sex-based questions get more votes and responses? Because this subreddit is just a farm for bot accounts to get karma so they can spam their OnlyFans. Mods will do nothing about it. How am I supposed to learn how to have sex then? Without these questions, My dick might end up getting caught in the ceiling fan. Do any of these little fuckers ever pop out of the fucking wall and say fuck there's a horse cock in my room or a donkey dick? Because if you live in Florida they're restricting sex education, so people will now have to educate themselves online now. Thumbs up. Reddit give people a chance to ask questions they can't in person. Most questions people are afraid to ask are sex related. Because it's Reddit, I would say the vast majority of the population here is a virgin. That, and also because of the karma. There are many teenager boys on Reddit. There are also many lonely shut-in men who have never felt the touch of a woman. Allow me to answer a question with a question. Where is the funniest place your parents ever caught you whacking it? Well, sex is fun and entertaining, especially its not so wide aspects, so it's natural young people are interested. Average Ask Reddit thread. Reddit, what's the sexiest sex you've ever had while sexing someone of the other sex? People enjoy thinking about sex, so posts about sex get a lot of upvotes, and popular posts get shown more often. Prob just kiz it's SMTPPL feel more comfortable talking about anonymously, but other than that I mean sex is fun. I don't think that's the case, but hey, it's the internet, and the algorithm knows us pretty well at this point. We've all just played BG3 for the first time, and now I want to try sex like my favorite video game characters. How can you sex with sex? Lol. Could be worse. The Ask Reddit After Dark sub is full of have you ever come story as old as time. I'd rather talk about sex over why hasn't my cottage pie not browned on the top. So what's the average male versus female rate in Reddit? And my joined subs it always feels like 8-2 or 9-1.